Okay, so we're looking at discourse markers, and as part of this little section this week, we're also going to start looking at question 4 of paper 1. Now, I know we've looked at some of the questions before. Question 4 is the end question on the reading section, and it's one that's worth the most marks. You'll see here it's worth 20 marks. That is a whopping quarter of the marks for your entire paper. So it's a big deal, this one. Now, it will always be something like this. It's a to what extent question, and this throws people a lot. Because, you see, they're not really asking you to disagree with it. They're going to present an argument which you broadly agree with to a greater or lesser degree. Do not get caught up in thinking too much about how much you agree or disagree. What they're really testing here is your AO4 skills. So it's all about critically analysing language features and structural features and the impression that the reader gets from the writing. And you can see here you get some bullet points to help you out here. So they're expecting you to write about your own impressions of the characters, evaluate how the writers created these impressions, so that's where your analysis of language techniques and word choice comes in, and support your opinions with reference to the text. Please pay attention to these bullet points. If you're not referencing the text, you're not going to get decent marks for this. So let's have a quick look at the mark scheme to have a look at what you're expected to do. So as we can see here, again, we've got the evaluate text critically and support this with appropriate textual references. So that's what they're expecting here. So we'll start with band 1, which is your very low level stuff. So at band 1, they're expecting you to make simple, limited, evaluative. So what that word evaluative means is you're not really looking at the effects, you're just sort of stating facts, really. Comments on the effects on the reader. So that's important really here. Whatever level you're operating at, whether it's going to be level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, you're going to be expected to comment on the effects it has on the reader. That's a big part of this question. Okay, so limited understanding of the writer's methods. So you might, for example, have someone start to think about some of the language techniques used, but not really identify them correctly, maybe only identify 1 or 2. Select simple, limited textual references, so maybe an occasional quote of the most obvious kind. And we can see here in the example bit, they were able to find a quote that backs up the fact that someone is angry by saying he rose from his seat in a fury. Well, that's a very simple, very general comment to make. And yeah, moving up through here, so we're getting some evaluative comments here as opposed to, very basic comments. Some understanding of the writer's methods. So you've got here the student identifying some of the word choices, fumbling, and they've used the word grumpy there instead of angry, which I think is wise because it's not really angry, it's grumpy. There's a difference there. And of course you're also expected to use appropriate textual references and make some responses in the text as a whole. Level 3, so we're getting to the higher marks here, so evaluating clearly the effects on the reader. Clear understanding of the writer's methods and a range of textual references, and clear and relevant response to a focus on the statement. So again, that clear and relevant response. So they are saying straight away, this one here, writer brings characters alive by making them behave and react differently. So instantly you've got an appropriate response here to the question, which was, of course, the writer brings very different characters to life for the reader. So they've reacted straight away from that statement, and they've explained how the writer does this by making them behave and react differently. Clear understanding of the writer's methods, and also you can see here they've picked up on an element of irony. So they're talking about irony here, how the man's actions are ironic because he's cursing the driver, who the reader knows is doing his best, and there's not much the reader can do about the situation. And again, they're sort of bringing this all together by saying it makes the writer makes the man seem unreasonable and out of control by the excessive, almost violent words like rogue and murderer. So again, they're highlighting some word choice here. So your top band marks, the ones that are going to get you the most marks, you've got perceptive detailed evaluation here. So critical evaluation in depth of the effects on the reader. So again, they've made a distinction which the other ones haven't, which is they've started by saying we might think that the passengers are a unified group because the writer refers to them collectively, and they've backed it up with evidence. But then they're going on to critically evaluate how the writer constructs this. They're sort of going against what they've just said by saying, but their actions suggest how different they are. They've focused as well on the odd fellow, the old man, from that source that you'll be analysing for this. That's a good one to focus. They've picked up on some more nuanced, some more different meanings, so perceptive understanding of the writer's method. So some more nuanced word choices here, like the choice of the word petulant to indicate this behaviour is childish and making rash statements, and the fact that he is swearing at the coach driver. Now obviously you are going to be writing, I would say, about 4 paragraphs on this, evaluating different characters in the coach. You're not going to be answering this question just yet. You'll be working on a lino canvas and drawing down some ideas from the text. And yeah, that's your introduction to question 4.